Okay, so today I want to expose yet another really bad article on Wikipedia. So we're looking at the article on anti-Semitism. Now, I've said in the past that the word anti-Semitism is a misnomer. Um, Semitism, the word Semitism, is actually not a real word. There is no such thing as Semitism. There's no such religion as Semitism. There are Semitic people. However, anti-Semitism does not mean discrimination against Semitic people. What anti-Semitism means is it means racism against Jews. So it's a misnomer. So at the bottom here of the lead, it says the root word Semite gives the false impression that anti-Semitism is directed against all Semitic people, including Arabs, Assyrians, and Arameans. The compound word anti-Semitismus was first used in print in Germany in 1879 as a scientific sounding term for Judenhass. And this has been its common use since then. Okay, so what I want to focus on is as a scientific sounding term for Jew hatred. Now, this article provides 5 citations for this. Now, you might think that it's got to be true, but if you look at these citations are total BS. Okay, I have a feeling that the person who I have a feeling that only one person is actually the one who provided these 5 citations. But I went through each and every single one of these, and I'm going to briefly click through them. And all except one is behind a paywall. So here, for example, um, it it's getting cut off here a little bit, but in the bottom right, it says page 10 of 660. Now, if you go back to the citations, this one was by Paul Johnson. So it's supposed to be on page 133. So what happens if we try to go to a page 133? Oh, oops. It jumps all the way to page 630. You see? The rest is behind a paywall, so there's no way for us to verify it. And every single citation that this person provided is identical in that you can't see the part of the book where it supposedly says that anti-Semitism was chosen because it's a scientific sounding word. Now, the reason why this matters is because I've gone into arguments with dumb people who have quoted directly this line from Wikipedia saying that the reason why the word anti-Semitism uh, came into common parlance to mean racism against Jews was because it sounded more scientific sounding. But as you can see, the citation for this is nowhere to be found because it's all stuck behind a paywall, except for one. So that's this one. So this is one of the few citations that this person provided that we can actually verify. So this one is Johnston, 1983, page 27. So here it is. So remember, what are we looking for? We're looking for the claim that anti-Semitism entered common parlance because it was scientific sounding. Uh, Spoiler alert, this citation says nothing like that, but let's read anyway. So, Jewish intellectuals epitomized the estrangement between writer and society which pervaded Austria after 1800. In Hungary, on the contrary, not only did Jews assimilate more readily, but all writers enjoyed greater adulation. It was in Bohemia that Jews suffered most acutely, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so none of this has anything to do with uh, what we're trying to look for. So, but here in this paragraph, this is where it finally talks about the origin of the word anti-Semitism. But it's wrong. Okay, it's wrong. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. For all its democracy and art, Vienna roiled with anti-Semitism, chiefly economic in origin. Once Wilhelm Marr had invented the term anti-Semitism in 1879, it came to denote a movement lacking in the religious animus of earlier anti-Judaism. Okay, and the rest is irrelevant. You see, there is absolutely nothing there that states that anti-Semitism entered common parlance and was accepted as the word to refer to racism against Jews because it was more scientific sounding, which is total bullshit and isn't even, it's not true, and it doesn't even make any sense. Why does it matter whether it sounds scientific sounding or not? It's a misnomer. And to, to add insult to injury, this citation is actually making a completely incorrect claim. Wilhelm Marr did not invent the term. Okay? This guy did. Mortis Steidenschneider. All right? And you can, it even says so on the damn anti-Semitism page, which should have been in the lead, by the way. It's interesting how they didn't put the person who coined the term anti-Semitism in the lead. Instead, you have to drop down to the etymology to read about that. And it's in the first sentence. Here it is. The origin of anti-Semitic terminologies is found in the responses of Mortis Steidenschneider. Blah, blah, blah. It even says so. It was not Wilhelm Marr. Now, if you actually read about Wilhelm Marr, he wasn't even Jewish. He was a German agitator and actually was anti-Jewish himself. He was anti-Jewish. Now, the article says he popularized the term, but that is not the same thing as inventing it. Inventing it does not mean the same thing as popularizing it. This citation is saying he invented the term. That's wrong. So this moron who cited this citation as proof that anti-Semitism was used as a scientific sounding term for Jew hatred is total bullshit. Okay? Because it isn't even getting basic facts correct. Wilhelm Marr did not invent a term. This motherfucker did, Mortis Steidenschneider. Now, why doesn't it say more about him on this page about anti-Semitism? Well, it's because Mortis Steidenschneider was a horrible racist. Okay, he was a Zionist who believed that Palestine belonged to white Austrian Jews. That's it. So there's a lot more I can say about this topic, but I think I said about enough here to pretty much just throw a monkey wrench into this nonsense about how anti-Semitism was chosen as a specific word, unusually specific word, to refer to racism against Jews because it was more scientific sounding. That's complete nonsense. It had nothing to do with that. Okay, I'll just tell you the reason why it was chosen as the word. It was because Mortis Steidenschneider was trying to equivocate white Austrian Jews with Middle Eastern Semitic brown people. He wanted people in people's minds to believe that white Austrian Jews actually come from the Middle East, but they don't. They come from Austria. But by creating a word that smuggles in this notion of being Semitic people, it brainwashes people into thinking that white Jews are from the Middle East, but they're not. White Jews are not from the Middle East. They're not from Palestine. But people are more likely to believe that they are if you create a word and control the language in such a way that it it passively influences people's beliefs. And I see it all the time. The implication is that white Jews are like one of the characteristics of a Jew is that they're white. But people never say this, but it's implied, it's passively believed. All right, so that's about it. There's so much more wrong with the Wikipedia article on anti-Semitism, but that's a time for another video. All right, see you later.